I'm here today to talk about my incompetent cervix story. So it all began when in July of 2019 when I found out I was pregnant. Me and my boyfriend at the time, and he's my fiance now, we were so thrilled about becoming parents for the first time and having a baby. And so our pregnancy was normal up until about maybe 14 weeks. I started to experience some very odd symptoms. So the first symptom was the trickling of fluid. And at the time, I didn't pay too much attention to it because it only happened twice. And it happened when I got out the shower. And so it was not enough fluid for me to think that my water broke or anything. So, and because it only happened twice, I disregarded it. So about 16 weeks, I started to have very severe pelvic pressure. The pressure started off very light and then it gradually got worse. And it got worse maybe about 17 weeks. It became unbearable to the point where I needed heating pads when I got off of work. I was taking Tylenols. I would frequently have to take sit-down breaks because I just felt like it was severe pressure on my pelvis area. And after asking my doctor and some friends who were recently pregnant about it, everyone told me that this was a normal pregnancy symptom and not to worry about it. But they were wrong. So around 18 weeks, I had my gender reveal and we found out that we were having a baby girl. Shortly after my gender reveal, at 21 weeks and 5 days, I started experiencing spotting. And during this time, I became concerned because the pressure was worse. Then I started spotting, so I just wanted to find out what was going on. So I went to the hospital and they sent me to labor and delivery. When I got to labor and delivery, an OB checked my cervix and saw that I was 2 centimeters dilated and had bulging membranes. So at that time, they placed me on strict hospital bed rest. They put me in a head down, feet up position. They also gave me medications to stop the labor because I was silently contracting and dilating. And this went on for maybe around 2 weeks. During the time in the hospital, I also started to have some severe bleeding. And at 23 weeks and 2 days, I kept feeling a pushing sensation, like I needed to push. And I got up and basically gave birth to Laila. And at that time, she was only 23 weeks and 2 days, so she was too small to resuscitate because viability is at 24 weeks. And viability is just the day that the doctors will try to resuscitate, even though they did try to resuscitate Laila at 23 weeks. And she was just too small. So we were definitely depressed. And during our depressed phase after losing Laila, we decided to do some research on ways to prevent this from happening again, because losing a baby was just the most horrible thing that has ever happened to me, and it totally flipped my world upside down. And so after doing a lot of research on the topic, we found out about cerclages, vaginal cerclages, transabdominal cerclages, and progesterone treatments for incompetent cervix. And after doing our research, we decided to go with the transabdominal cerclage, even though our doctors recommended against it. The reason why we chose the transabdominal cerclage over the vaginal cerclage is because the vaginal cerclage had a very low survival rate. Babies were born prematurely at very high rates, and the women also needed bed rest during this time. So we chose the transabdominal cerclage because it had a higher success rate and more women were going full term, even though it was a more extreme surgery. So with the vaginal cerclage, the doctors usually do it after your first trimester. They normally go into your vagina and stitch your cervix up. Versus with the transabdominal cerclage, you can get it done either pre-pregnancy or you can get it done in your first trimester of pregnancy. And they go inside of your abdomen, make an incision and go in and stitch your cervix. So you would need a C-section if you get a transabdominal cerclage for all future births. Well, after doing our research, we went to Indianapolis and got our transabdominal cerclage surgery done. And we were supposed to get it done in March of 2020, but we ended up having to get it in June of 2020 due to the COVID-19 crisis. And so now we have our cerclage and we're just waiting until the time is right for us to try again for another baby. Basically, I'm just sharing my story with anyone who will listen because I don't want anyone to have to go through this ever again, because there are signs and there are treatments to prevent this from happening. And also, I just wanted to share my story just in case someone else is going through this, because I kind of felt alone during my time in the hospital. No one had any videos about this, and I just wanted to share my experience with others so they can feel like they're not alone in this situation. And that's all I have to say. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you so much.